And with Venus transiting out of its retrograde shadow, it's about being courageous in sharing your energy. And when you're thinking about the full moon in Scorpio releasing what is draining you, when you release what is draining you, release the frequencies that are draining you, you release the people that are draining you, you have so much energy to give, so much love to give. And that's when you're at your best. Welcome to the Weekly Transit, your guide to understanding the current planetary and astral alignments. Together, we'll explore how to harness these cosmic frequencies, empowering you to reach your highest potential as you navigate the days ahead. I'm your host, Scott Tajarian. Welcome to the Weekly Transit. This is the week of May 12th to the 18th. Thank you for being here. Very, very grateful for you spending some time with me. How's May been treating you? Have things has the pressure kind of let up? You know, if you've been listening back to March and April, you know, we talked a lot about the intensity of things, and things were pretty intense, you know, to start the year, and then they increased in intensity through March, through the eclipses, the full moon lunar eclipse and the new moon solar eclipse, which both occurred in March, and there's a lot of transits, a lot of planets moving this way, that way, in this sign, in that sign, direct, retrograde, you know, it was a whole discombobulation of planetary frequencies. And as we mentioned back in March and April, you know, things would start to smooth out a little bit in May, you know, because by the time we got to May, you know, Mercury was moving out of its retrograde shadow on May 1st. And then this week, Venus moves out of its retrograde shadow. So hopefully things are kind of smoothing out for you. The last couple weeks, there hasn't been a lot of transits to discuss. Last week was just Mercury in Taurus. The week before that was Venus transiting into Aries. That's the other thing too, is, you know, planets transiting out of Pisces. Pisces brings like a heaviness to the planetary frequencies, and now there's just one planet in Pisces. There's the North Node, which is not a planet, but Saturn is the only planet in Pisces. So that is hopefully bringing about some relief. Now this week, there are more transits to cover than we've had in the last couple of weeks. There's 8 transits this week. Next week, there's going to be 11 transits that we're covering. So things are going to start to build a little bit. You know, everything is inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Tide rolls in, tide rolls out. Sun goes up, sun comes down. Things are intense, things are chill. Things are intense, things are chill. So we just have to get in touch with the rhythm. Get in touch with the rhythm of the planets and stars. Because if you're not in touch with the rhythm of the planets and stars, you're going to be shaken to your core. The planets and stars are not trying to punish you. They're trying to guide you. And if you are not in the rhythm of their guidance, then it feels like they're pushing you around. Why aren't things going my way? Why am I getting so much resistance over here, over there? Well, because you're pushing against the planetary frequencies. You might say, well, Scott, what are the planetary frequencies? How are they affecting me? Like, I listened to your podcast and I like your soothing voice, but, it's kind of confusing. I'm not really sure what you're talking about a lot of the time. Taurus and planets and the moon and Mercury and what's going on? People love to say Mercury in Gatorade. Oh, what a funny joke. Mercury in Gatorade. Wow, that's so clever. Oh my God. Look, if you want to take the blindfold off and figure out how to move with these frequencies, then be my guest. I'm here to teach you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to help you feel empowered because you know where you are going. I'd like to invite you to work with me. If you would like to learn more about yourself, if you would like to learn how to empower yourself, how to really hone in on the gifts that you've received in this life, and what you need to be doing to cultivate those gifts. Now, inherently, intuitively, you already know you have these gifts, but the thing is, society, the world, humanity, mankind, whatever you want to call it, there's been spells that have been cast, and these spells confuse people. They confuse people into thinking that there's something wrong with them. They confuse you into believing that you are flawed, that you're not smart enough, you're not beautiful enough, you're not talented enough. No. You are a miracle. You are perfection. I am here to right the ship. I'm here to help you right your ship, your human ship. Your body is your human ship. It's the physical manifestation of your soul. And so I'd like to invite you to work with me. I have a program called the Cosmic Pathway. I work with individuals weekly. And when you're working with me weekly, it's like you have your own personal podcast. Because I'm talking to you. And I'm talking to you right now, but I'm going to be talking to you individually, and you're going to be talking back to me. And you're going to be sharing with me all the intimate details of your life. Your fears, your insecurities, your traumas, whatever it is you've gone through that has tormented you. I am here to help you unwind that. I am here to help you reprogram the frequencies of your mind, your brain. I'm going to be that voice in your head that says you can. You are enough. You are perfect. And I'm going to show you why. I'm not just going to be blowing smoke, as they say. I'm going to be showing you why through your astrological code. So you can see it. We're going to awaken that little voice that has been suppressed by society, humanity, mankind, and the spells that have confused you, have confused your soul into thinking that you're flawed, that there's something wrong with you, that you're not smart enough, beautiful enough, strong enough, talented enough, that you're a bad person, that you're a monster. You are perfection. And I will show you through your astrological code. So when you're working with me in the cosmic pathway, each week, the fun thing about this is each week when we connect for an hour each week, we will be looking at your astrological code, at where the planets are aligning with that code. You'll be sharing experiences of your life, and we'll be reflecting back what the planets and stars say about your experiences. You're going to learn to understand this ancient language, and in doing so, you will gain a deeper understanding, appreciation, and love for yourself. And then in those moments, when you're feeling strained or stressed, instead of hearing that voice that tells you you can't, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're going to hear my voice reminding you that you are. So if you're interested in working with me, if you have had a reading with me in the past, send me an email, The Cosmic Pathway. Let me know that you're ready to invest in yourself. And that you'd like to work with me. And we'll discuss the details of how that might work for you. If you haven't had a reading with me and you're interested in the Cosmic Pathway, the first thing I would recommend that you do is schedule a reading with me. And from there, you will get a sense if I'm somebody that you want to work with week after week. I am here to transform you. I am here to change your life in the best possible way, through empowerment and clarity and love. I will look forward to hearing from you. Love. That has been a theme as these planets transit through Taurus. The Sun, Mercury. Taurus is one of the signs that represents love, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, the goddess of love. And this week, we are highlighting the full moon in Scorpio, which is opposite the Sun in Taurus. So the theme of the week is release the burden. Release the burden. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Angel and Rocio as we discussed their book, The Orchid. Such an inspiring couple. So much love between them, and so much love that they had to share with you, the audience, that resonates through their powerful book, The Orchid. The week before that, we had Alexi Turner, world traveler, coach, fashion designer, author, multi-talented woman, living abroad in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, discussing religion, Islam and Buddhism and a little of Christianity, but mostly Islam, because Alexi is Muslim. Such a beautiful story that she had to share, inspiring. This week, we invite on Andrea Lowell. Wow. What a powerhouse of a woman, Andrea Lowell. Incredible. Her slogan is, I am everything. So inspiring. I am everything. Because you have everything that you need. Andrea is also a coach, a guide, somebody that works with individuals to empower them in her own way. An incredibly inspiring woman. She shared a lot about her journey as well as her birthing process. She just gave birth to her daughter a little over a year ago. And she described that experience with us. Very open, very vulnerable, very courageous. Such a fun conversation. Every time I speak with a guest, I feel so inspired. And I hope you are feeling the same. So let's get into the week where we are discussing 8 transits highlighted by the full moon in Scorpio. The theme of the week is release the burden. Release the burden because Scorpio is the sign of transformation. The diamond releases the burden of being a rock. The butterfly releases the burden of being a caterpillar. The bottle of wine releases the burden of being a grape. Are you ready to transform? The full moon in Scorpio is about transformation, and that transformation comes through your intimate bonds, the people that you are most vulnerable with. Think about the rhythm of the planets. As we said earlier, are you in rhythm with the planets? Are you in rhythm with the planets and stars? Go back to those episodes in March when things were getting intense. There was the full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. That was about releasing whatever is out of balance in your relationships. The full moon in Libra in mid-March, was about releasing the burden, releasing what is unbalanced in relationships. Oh, that's actually the full moon in Virgo. Oh God, I made another mistake. Full moon in Virgo. So I'm clearly not in rhythm with the planets. Correction. The full moon in Virgo. So let's rewind ourselves here. It was on March 13th. Yeah. I was like, what am I thinking? Oh, it couldn't have been the full moon in Libra. My brain was scrambled. So full moon in Virgo, March 13th, that was the lunar eclipse. That was about releasing the burden of your mind. Releasing control. Releasing needing to be in control. Is about tapping into faith. Cultivating your faith. You're trying to control everything. You are not allowing for miracles to occur. You think you know better than the Creator? Huh? Let the river flow. Sometimes you just need to put your paddle in the water to just guide it a little bit. You don't have to be paddling all hard all the time. Sometimes you got to paddle a little harder, and sometimes you just got to go with the current. And that's what the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo was about on March 13th. Then we came to the new moon solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th. And that was about releasing fears and insecurities. Releasing fears and insecurities so that you can be more authentic, more confident, more courageous in your self-expression. Then on April 12th, we had the full moon in Libra, and that was about releasing what is unbalanced in your relationship, what is unfair in your relationships. If you feel that a relationship is out of balance, that was the time to release those imbalances, to say, that's not fair. I'm giving too much. You're not giving enough, so I'm going to give less. Let's balance it out. Or maybe you're giving too much and I'm not giving enough, and you need to not give so much. Back off. If I call you once, you don't need to call me back 5 times and text me 17 times. I text you, you text me. I call you, you call me. I'm not going to call you 5 times. I've done that before. I've done that. I learned my lesson. Yeah, psycho Scorpio guy. Call. No, not anymore. Took me almost 50 years, but I started to figure it out. Maybe these people don't want to connect with me. Okay, so I'm done calling. What a relief. What a relief that has been. And so this full moon in Libra, back on April 12th, was helping recenter ourselves in our relationships. April 27th was the new moon in Taurus. The new moon in Taurus was about setting your intentions to value yourself, to love yourself, to express your love through the material frequency, because Taurus is fixed earth. So can you see the pattern? Can you see the rhythm of the planets? Release control, have faith. Release insecurities and fears. Create confidence and courage. Once you have the faith, then you can release the fears and insecurities. Once you release the fears and insecurities, then you can have greater confidence. Once you have greater confidence, then you have the courage to release what is out of balance in your relationships. Once you've released what is out of balance in your relationships, then you're loving yourself. You're valuing yourself more. Now that you're valuing yourself more, that leads us to the full moon in Scorpio, which occurs at 9:55 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time at 22 degrees in the fixed water sign, symbolized by the scorpion, Scorpio. Think of the scorpion. It's that tiny little creature that's scary as you know what. And It's interesting, but you're not running towards it. It's hiding in the corner. It goes into the crack. You don't see it again, hopefully. Or it's under a rock. It could be in a stream. Scorpions can live in water for days. Such an interesting creature. But the reason why Scorpio is the sign of intimacy is because of all the symbols, the Scorpion's the smallest. It can get into areas that the other symbols can't get into. There is an intimacy to that. You know, it's like I mentioned a few weeks back that I was watching that show Yellowstone, and there was a scene in Yellowstone where like a scorpion had crawled into someone's shirt, you know, when they were sleeping or something like that. It was like, and they got stung. Ah! Ah! No. Don't want that. But that's what a scorpion can do. It can go into those intimate places. It can go up your shirt, down your back. Scorpio is the sign that rules the genitals and the colon. These are intimate parts of the body. These aren't parts of yourself that you share with anyone or everyone. When you have a bowel movement, you feel transformed. When you have an orgasm, you feel transformed. That's why Scorpio is the sign of transformation. So when we're thinking about the full moon in Scorpio, we're thinking about the people that have transformed us. Now, maybe they haven't transformed us because we've had a sexual relationship, or they've been in the bathroom with us when we're having a bowel movement, but we've told them some secrets. They know some things about us that not everybody knows. When you tell somebody something about yourself that nobody else knows, that makes you vulnerable to them. As a Scorpio myself, you know, this is why I love doing the work that I do. Because when I work with clients, they share the intimate parts of themselves with me, and I keep them safe. Keep them safe. Those are the relationships when you can be vulnerable with somebody, when you can share parts of yourself with somebody that you don't share with other people, and you are seen, you are understood, you are accepted, appreciated, and loved. What a relief. What a relief. I'm not a bad person. I'm not the worst person that's ever lived on planet Earth. Wow. Thank God. That's what happens. That's why, being intimate with somebody is so sacred. It is so sacred. It is so special. If you're sharing money with somebody, that's a frequency of Scorpio. The full moon in Scorpio is opposite the sun in Taurus. Taurus is fixed earth. Scorpio is fixed water. Taurus is ruled by the goddess of love. Scorpio is ruled by the god of war and the god of death, which, if you look at the symbol for Pluto, it looks a lot like the symbol for Venus, except it's got an extra part. It's got the crescent of receptivity in between the circle of spirit and the cross of matter, symbolizing the transformation that occurs to the eternal soul in the world of matter. So think about it from that perspective. Mars, the god of war, the planet of courage, confidence. It takes courage to be intimate with somebody. It takes courage to be vulnerable with somebody. We established that Scorpio is about transformation. Pluto's the planet of transformation, the god of death. Death represents transformation. Pluto's lord of the underworld. Scorpio represents the shadow realm, the night, the things that are done in secret, behind closed doors, taboo subjects, occult practices, the psychic realm, the magical realm. That's the underworld. That's Pluto, that's Scorpio. What happens in the underworld? The black market, business transactions. Taurus is the bull. The bull is symbolized through Wall Street. There's literally a sculpture of a bull in front of the stock exchange in New York. What do you think came first? The stock exchange or astrology? This is why people that are in the market, they love a bull market. A bull market. So Taurus represents money, my money. Scorpio represents the money that I share with others, or the money that others share with me. Do you walk around telling everybody what's in your bank account or how much money you make? No, it's private information. It's like going around and talking about your sex life to everybody. You probably don't do that. You probably don't talk about your financial situation with everybody. These are Scorpio. These are Scorpio. Because it's secrets. It's intimacy. So when you're thinking about the full moon in Scorpio, and you're going back to the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo, releasing control, having faith. Then the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, releasing insecurities and fears, cultivating confidence, courage. Once we have faith, once we release control and have faith, then we can release the fears and insecurities, cultivate the courage. Once we've cultivated the courage, the confidence, now we can release what is out of balance in relationships, what is unfair in relationships, what is out of balance in love. And once we've done that, now we're loving ourselves. So when we're setting our intentions to love ourselves, to value ourselves, that leads us to the full moon in Scorpio, which says, which of these relationships am I feeling drained by? Is there somebody in your life where you're like, oh God, they're calling again. Oh, not a text message from them. Oh no. Or you hang out with somebody and you're like, Jesus, I have to take a nap. I'm exhausted. Who is draining you in your life? If you feel drained by an individual, then there is something out of balance in that relationship. But you're like, I released what was out of balance in the relationship. Yes, there's always a deeper level. There's always a deeper level. Remember, Scorpio is the underworld. So you may have released what you thought was out of balance, which was on the surface, on the scales, Libra. Now we're in the underworld. Underworld. The psychic realm. This is awakening you to what is going on beneath the surface. Who is draining you? If you feel drained in your relationships, then either the relationship itself needs to be released, or that individual needs to be put on notice that there's a frequency within this relationship that is draining me. And I'm not going to engage in this manner any longer. If you want to remain in relationship with me, then you will need to adjust. Because I have been bending over backwards, I feel drained. On the same token, on the other side, are you draining anyone? Who are you draining? Who are you putting too much pressure on? Who are you taking too much from? You can always tell. It's like, how are they reacting to you? Are they angry? Do they have anxiety? And maybe that has nothing to do with you. But it is an indication that something is off. And if you're engaging with them, then it needs to be addressed. It's like if you are in a relationship with somebody, let's say a sexual relationship with somebody, and maybe that relationship isn't monogamous, wouldn't you want to know who this person is with if you are also with that person? Because if something is off with them, they're transferring that to you. And I'm not even talking about an STI or anything like that. I'm talking about just energy. Energy. What is the vibe that you're receiving from people? If somebody is always like kind of on edge or miserable when they're around you, is that because of you? Or if not, who's it because of? And how does it need to be addressed? Because is that a frequency that you want to be around? Of course, people have bad days. But when the standard is misery, that's something that needs to be adjusted. It's something that Angel talked about, how he's like, my baseline is happy. Of course, I have bad days. I have difficult days, just like anyone else. But I return to gratitude, joy, happiness. That's where we all deserve to be. It's not possible to be there all the time. But it's also not sustainable to be miserable all the time. This full moon in Scorpio is helping us get into those deep, dark areas. If you're curious to learn how the next lunar cycle will be affecting you and how to work with that energy to your benefit, I encourage you to enroll in my moon cycle classes at theweeklytransit.com. There's 3 classes that meet twice. Each one meets twice. So you either enroll in Astropod 1, Astropod 2, or Astropod 3. Each Astropod has 2 classes. One is for the new moon, the other's for the full moon. The classes are small. They're going to be 8 people or less. We're going to look at your astrological code, and we're going to dive into what's happening in the moon cycle, just like we do on the podcast here. But the difference is we're also going to look at where it's happening in your astrological code and what that means for you and what you can do to work with this energy to support yourself, to empower yourself, to get in the rhythm of the planets. I'd love to see you in class. The second transit of the week is Mercury in Taurus, forming a square with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. This occurs exact on Monday, May 12th, the same day as the full moon in Scorpio. Mercury is squaring Pluto from Sunday to Tuesday, May 11th to the 13th. Mercury is the messenger of the gods, guide of souls to the underworld, the planet of consciousness, communication, and coordination, the god of merchants and thieves. Pluto is the god of death, lord of the underworld. So we've got the guide of souls to the underworld, Mercury, and then the lord of the underworld, Pluto, aligning with each other. If you look at these two symbols, they are the same three root symbols: the crescent of receptivity, the circle of spirit, and the cross of matter. Mercury, the crescent of receptivity, is on top of the circle of spirit. It's like antennas, receiving information, processing information, sending information out. Pluto, the crescent of receptivity, is between the circle of spirit and the cross of matter, signifying transformation. Pluto's retrograde in Aquarius. Mercury is direct in Taurus. This is happening at 3 degrees, the same day as the full moon in Scorpio at 22 degrees in Scorpio. Very interesting. Again, the planets are always in concert with each other, in harmony with one another. This is going to help us address some potentially difficult conversations that are occurring. These conversations have to do with self-worth, values, what's important to you, and what that means in terms of the group construct. Is the group vibing with what I value? Do I feel valued by the group? Am I valuing the group? Something is out of balance, out of whack, misaligned, that needs to be adjusted, that needs to be transformed. Maybe it means that you need to speak up for yourself in the group. Maybe it means that you need to listen more intently to what the group is sharing with you. But there's a transformation of values for yourself and how that relates to the group, society, the community, the team, the organization, the company. So if you're open to the transformation through releasing those frequencies that are burdening you, that are weighing you down, then you're open to having the difficult conversations, perhaps, that need to be had between you and the group. The third transit of the week, the sun continues through Taurus and forms a sextile, a supportive aspect with the North Node in Pisces. This aspect occurs from Tuesday to Saturday, so it's most of the week, with the exact sextile occurring on Thursday, May 15th. This is a supportive aspect. The sun is bringing light, life, and vitality to Taurus, bringing vitality to your self-worth, your values, what you like. The alignment with the North Node in Pisces is saying, I have faith. I have faith through my material reality. My material reality is showing me that I have everything that I need. I am everything. Does that mean I don't desire more? Of course, yeah, I want more. But I don't need to have anxiety over wanting more. I need to have faith that I am being cared for in all moments at all time. I am abundant. I am protected. I am guided. The universe is on my side. And when I say the universe is on my side, that is not to say that the universe is on my side versus other people. No, it just ends there. The universe is on my side, and the universe is on other people's side. The universe wants to be on everyone's side. And if you feel like the universe isn't on your side, it's because you're pushing against the universe. That's a moment where you need to go with the flow. And so maybe that's part of what this Sun in Taurus sextile the North Node in Pisces is all about. It's about grounding you into faith. Grounding you into faith. The same day of this alignment is when Venus transits out of its retrograde shadow. Whew, yeah. Deep exhale. Venus has been in its retrograde shadow since January 28th. So that was all of February, all of March, all of April, half of May. Over 3.5 months, Venus was in its retrograde shadow. How's your relationships? Mine's good. But it's work. It's conscious work. Conscious of Venus being in the retrograde shadow. And this is the time to take time. To not rush or make impulsive decisions, as you may have felt like you wanted to do in March and April when things were tense. Now we get to exhale. We get to exhale. Venus is out of its retrograde shadow. The same day that the Sun in Taurus, the sign that's ruled by Venus, aligns with the North Node in Pisces, the sign where Venus is exalted. What a coinky-dink. Yeah, don't believe in those. Everything's a reason. Everything. Nothing's random, though it may seem that way. Everything is just as it should be. So Venus entered its retrograde shadow at 24 degrees in Pisces on January 28th. It began its retrograde on March 1st. So what was going on in your relationships back on March 1st? Because today, Thursday, May 15th, Venus is exactly where it was on March 1st. So what have you learned about your relationships? I'll go back to January 28th, but really since March 1st. What have you learned about your relationships since March 1st? Are you more confident? Are you more courageous? Are you more authentic? This is not the time to hide. Not in your relationships. This is the time to put it all out there, to be real. Venus went direct in Pisces on April 12th. So April 12th, Venus was in the same spot that it was at on January 28th. And now it's back in the same spot it was at on March 1st. This has been a period of deep inner processing in terms of relationships, what we're giving. Am I being too compassionate? Am I bending over backwards? Am I giving enough? That's the Pisces frequency that we got to wade into for an extended period of time. And then the fire energy of Aries, cardinal fire, ruled by the ram, or symbolized by the ram, ruled by Mars, the god of war. It's about having courage to be authentic, to face your fears and insecurities. Now that Venus is out of its retrograde shadow, it's go time. Get in there. Go after it. Put yourself out there. Be courageous. There's somebody in your life that you like, let them know. Let them know. And let them know out of love for yourself. I found myself going around the grocery store today, and every person I looked at, I just thought in my mind, I love you. 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 Man, people are grim. People are scared. They're like, I can't make eye contact with somebody. And I think secretly in me, I'm like, I don't want them to make eye contact with me either. But I'm trying to get out of that. Especially with Venus in Aries. Trying to be more courageous. So just in my mind, walking down the street, at the grocery store, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Sending people love. Because I'm in love with myself. So grateful. So grateful. So grateful for you. For the time you spent with me on this podcast, listening to me. If you've worked with me, if you've had a reading with me, if you've been in a class with me, I am so grateful for you. If you're somebody who has sent a message to me on Instagram or on Spotify or YouTube or however you've expressed yourself, your gratitude towards me, I am so grateful for you. If you've rated the podcast a good rating, if you've left a positive review on Apple, I am so grateful. You allow me to live my passion every day of my life. You allow me to live my passion. It's because of you that I'm able to do what I do. Because of the financial and energetic support you've given me. And finances are a form of energy. If you've worked with me and given me money, that's energy. If you're listening to the podcast, that's energy. And with Venus transiting out of its retrograde shadow, it's about being courageous in sharing your energy. And when you're thinking about the full moon in Scorpio releasing what is draining you, when you release what is draining you, release the frequencies that are draining you, you release the people that are draining you, you have so much energy to give, so much love to give. And that's when you're at your best. When I first moved to LA in 1998, I got energetically crushed. And it's taken me, 27 years? It's been that long? 27 years? Wow, yeah. 27 years to get it back. It's been back for a while, so it maybe didn't take me 27 years, but yeah. Wow. So grateful. The sun, the fifth transit, is the sun conjunct Uranus in Taurus at 27 degrees. This is Thursday to Monday, with the exact conjunction occurring on Saturday, May 17th. So from Thursday to Monday, May 15th to the 19th. So this is starting at the same time that Venus is transiting out of its retrograde shadow, the same time that the sun forms its exact sextile with the North Node in Pisces. The sun begins to form a conjunction with Uranus in Taurus. Uranus is the planet of revolution. rebellion, innovation, independence, the unexpected. If you've been listening to me since 2020, you've heard me talk about this. That Uranus transiting through Taurus has been about one thing. If you were to boil Uranus transiting through Taurus, which is going to transit into Gemini for a few months this year and then go back to Taurus before it finally moves fully into Gemini in 26. If you were to boil down Uranus' transit through Taurus, the number one thing that this is about is financial independence. Financial independence. What is the state of your finances? Are you financially independent or are you financially codependent on debt, credit cards, borrowing from other people? If you are, there is no judgment. Because this has been a difficult 6 years for many people for the money. You know, the last time Uranus transited through Taurus was the Great Depression and World War II. The time before that was during the gold rush. I mean, the gold rush. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being so desperate that you're willing to get in a horse and buggy and travel thousands of miles across the continental United States to put a pan in water and hope that gold will appear? Can you imagine that? I can't. I'm not going to pretend like I can imagine what that's like. Have you ever ridden in a horse and buggy? Can you imagine riding on a horse and buggy for thousands of miles? And along the way, there's, people around that don't want you to be around or trying to take advantage of you or trying to kill you or who knows what's going on. Not necessarily a safe journey. The elements, freezing cold, trying to travel through the Rocky Mountains. Huh? That was a desperate time. That was Uranus and Taurus, 1851 to 1858. Great Depression, World War II. I mean, people traveled thousands of miles because of the Dust Bowl and famine, standing in line to get food for hours. And we've had to complain about a toilet paper shortage and an egg shortage. I think we got it pretty good. Maybe that means that we're learning something? But just as there was a great migration from 1851 to 1858 and a great migration across multiple continents during the Great Depression and World War II, Uranus was transiting through Taurus then from 1935 to 1942. There's been a great migration since Uranus transited into Taurus in 2019. How many people do you know who have moved since 2019? I did. Technically, I moved the city, but I'm still in the, LA County. But people have moved states, countries, because they didn't feel safe where they were. Or they felt like where they were didn't have the same values of some other place where they were moving to. And it could have been a million other different reasons. Those are just a couple of different examples. But these challenging times with money has really been pushing us all to say, what is really important to me? What do I really need? Do I really need to buy that fill in the blank? I talked about last week about drinking and a little bit about my history of drinking. When the only reason why I had 3 drinks at this dinner last week was because they were already paid for. It's like I paid a lump sum to go to this dinner, and we got 2 drink tickets, and then the guy putting up the event gave me a 3rd drink. So I was looking at those menus. I was like, man, do I really want to spend $20-some on a glass of wine or a cocktail? Jesus. I think about like when I was in my 20s, working in the restaurant, making a couple $100, and then you go out to the bar and you spend it. What? Not going to see me doing that again. All the money that I spent, I had a good time, no regrets, a lot of fun, but wow, values have changed. Values have changed. So the way that you create financial independence is by reassessing what you value, reassessing where you're spending your money. Maybe you realize that I don't need this, I don't need that. Gabrielle has been really good about, we're good with each other in checking our impulse buys. I am as guilty as the next person. Like during Mercury retrograde, I'm always telling people, don't make any impulsive buys. Don't do anything that you aren't planning to do before the retrograde. And then, of course, during the retrograde, I'm like, I need to buy this thing. It's only $300. Gabriella's like, do you really need that? Just let's wait till after retrograde. Like, okay, well, we're done with retrograde. And guess what? I'm so glad that I didn't buy what it is I wanted to buy. Wow. I realized that what I wanted to buy, I could actually take care of that myself for free. I didn't need an electronic contraption to move my body. I just needed to move my body. Hello. Save myself $300. When you reassess what you value, when you tighten up and you really just focus on putting your resources in places where you really feel like you're getting something in return that you need or that you want, but you want it because it's enhancing your life in some meaningful way. When you get to that point, you realize that, wow, I actually make way more money than I thought I did. Because now you're not spending your money just to spend it. So with the Sun conjunct Uranus in Taurus, it's really highlighting the revolution that's going on with money, self-worth, values, and the revolution that is occurring in your life. What is that revolution? The 6th transit of the week, Mercury, again, in Taurus, earlier in the week was squaring, wow. Yeah, Mercury is trucking now. It's so funny when Mercury's not retrograde. It's just really moving, Like Mercury was at 3 degrees. It's going to be at 3 degrees in Taurus early in the week. No way. Is that right? Am I reading this correctly? Did I screw up my notes? I think I did. Mercury 13. How is that possible? Oh yeah, that's why. Yeah, it is possible. I didn't screw up. So, yeah. So Mercury in the beginning of the week was at 3 degrees in Taurus on Monday, squaring Uranus. By the end of the week, Mercury is going to be at 13 degrees on Saturday, squaring what did I even say? Did I say in Taurus? Mercury in Taurus, 3 degrees, squaring Pluto and Aquarius at the beginning of the week. At the end of the week, that was on Monday. At the end of the week, on Saturday, Mercury is going to be at 13 degrees in Taurus, squaring Mars in Leo. So, bookend the week with these Mercury squares, one at 3 degrees, one at 13 degrees. The one earlier in the week was the push between you and society, community, the group, the club, the organization, the social network, the social cause, the transformation that needs to occur in order to create greater harmony and balance within those dynamics where you feel like you're getting what you want and it feels fair within the group. By the end of the week, though, Mercury is squaring Mars. This is Friday to Sunday, with the exact square occurring on May 17th, Saturday. Mars, the god of war, the planet of action, aggression, and conflict, in Leo, the fixed fire sign symbolized by the lion. The lion doesn't back down from anyone or anything. The bull doesn't back down from anyone or anything. So there's tension in communication, and this is because your heart is being driven to get something because you really want something, but that money thing is saying, I don't really have the money for that. I don't have the money for that. But if I really want it, what am I going to do to create the money? To shift my mind to say that I actually am very abundant. I'm going to find a way to get what I want. So there's tension there. Tension because the heart is being driven by Mars. It says we're going this way, and the mind is saying that's not possible. So this is really an opportunity at the end of the week to shift your frequency of your mind. To say that I don't need to rationalize this. I need to trust my heart. Because going back to the Sun conjunct Uranus in Taurus, I don't want to confuse you in thinking that, I'm not supposed to spend any money. No. You're meant to only spend money on what you value, on what you truly value. What do you truly value? When you spend your money on what you value, that creates a sense of independence. When you spend money just to spend it, now you're dependent on spending. We want to release dependency on spending and create independence in value. So the end of the week may create an opportunity where you are like, my mind is saying no, but my heart is saying yes. And that leads us to the next transit, the 7th transit of the week. Jupiter in Gemini, sextile Chiron in Aries at 25 degrees. This transit has been occurring since May 3rd and is going to continue until the 24th. The exact sextile is this Sunday, May 18th. But this is bringing up the question. So if your heart is saying, when you go back to that Mercury in Taurus squaring Mars in Leo, if your heart is saying, I really, 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 really want this, but your mind is saying it's not possible, the Jupiter in Gemini, Jupiter's expansion, the god of thunder, lord of justice, the planet of luck, in the mutable air sign symbolized by the twins, Gemini. Gemini's about communication, about curiosity. So Jupiter is expanding your curiosity. Chiron is the wound and the ancient wisdom, which is unlocked through healing that wound. In Aries, it's highlighting the wound to your self-confidence. So going back to Mars in Leo, my heart desires this. I'm driven to fill in the blank. But my mind is saying, no, that's not possible. Jupiter, sextile Chiron in Aries, Jupiter in Gemini, sextile Chiron in Aries, is saying, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What is at the root of your fears? It's about getting to the bottom of your fears. And that leads us to the last transit of the week, which also includes Jupiter in Gemini at 25 degrees, squaring the North Node in Pisces. So when you're asking that question, what am I afraid of? Jupiter squaring the North Node in Pisces is saying, oh, it's that thing that I've been ignoring. It's getting deep within yourself. Jupiter is squaring the North Node in Pisces from May 12th to the 24th, with the exact square on Sunday, May 18th. So Jupiter and Chiron aligning from May 3rd to the 24th. Jupiter and the North Node aligning from May 12th to the 24th. Both forming that exact alignment with each other on May 18th, Sunday, which is really helping you dig into the depths of your psyche, to really face your fears and insecurities and say, can I forgive myself? Am I willing to acknowledge that I'm worthy? That I do deserve what I want? That I do have faith? That I can manifest whatever I desire? Because this Sun conjunct Uranus and Uranus in Taurus has taught us that it's just about what I value. I need to be clear about what I value, and if I'm clear about what I value, then I will get what I want. It's when I get loosey-goosey about things and my self-worth isn't clear, that's when I don't get what I want, because the universe is like, we're not ready to give them what they want because they're not ready to receive it. They're not going to value it in the way that it needs to be valued. When they show us that they value themselves and their money as an extension of themselves, then we will give them more of it. So this Jupiter alignment with Chiron and the North Node is helping you pinpoint your fears and insecurities, your doubts, your guilt, your shame, your regret, your blame, through your curiosity, to really encourage you to forgive yourself, have some confidence, cultivate your faith, recognize that you are, who you've always meant to be, which is a miracle. Because the next time the planets and stars will be aligned and the way they were aligned when you were born is over 25,000 years from the date, time, and place of your birth. So you are a miracle. When you value yourself as a miracle, and you acknowledge your fears and insecurities by showing yourself love, by being compassionate with yourself through the guilt, the shame, the regret, the blame, you will receive all the abundance that you desire. I hope this message empowers you through the week. I hope to hear from you, either through a message, a comment, or enrolling in the Moon Cycle class, working with me through a reading or the Cosmic Pathway. It's an honor to be here with you, and I'm grateful for your time and energy that you've shared with us here. Until next week. Thank you for listening to the weekly transit. If you're curious to learn how these transits or any other transits may be affecting you, or if you're interested in learning more about your astrological code, contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. This episode was produced by me, Scott Tajarian. Music written by Ben Leinbach from Listen Deep by Amber Herzog-Lyman. Wishing you all the best as you ride the planetary waves.